I'd like to warmly welcome the Secretary-General, distinguished President, ministers, and other high-level representatives present in the Security Council chamber. Your presence today underscores the importance of the subject matter under discussion. In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the representatives of Egypt, Kuwait, Norway, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. I propose that the Council invite permanent observer of the Observer State of Palestine to the United Nations to participate in the meeting in accordance with the Provisional Rules of Procedure and the previous practice in this regard. There being no objection, it is so decided. In accordance with the Rule 39 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the following to participate in this meeting: His Excellency Mr. Ahmed Abul Hayt, Secretary-General of the League of Arab States, and Her Excellency Ms. Kaya Kallas, High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission. It is so decided. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of the agenda. I now give the floor to the Secretary-General, His Excellency Mr. António Guterres.
Mr. President, Excellencies, we are confronting one of the darkest chapters of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Nearly 2 years after the horrific Hamas terror attacks of 7 October and the devastating Israeli military response that followed, the violence has only deepened across the occupied Palestinian territory, with grave threats to regional and global peace and security. The Israeli military onslaught in Gaza City is compounding an already catastrophic humanitarian crisis. Countless Palestinian civilians and the remaining hostages are trapped under relentless bombardment and deprived of food, water, electricity, and medicine. Famine is a reality, with the population constantly forced to move and being starved. To call this situation untenable and morally and legally indefensible does not begin to capture the scale of human suffering. I have repeatedly appealed for an immediate permanent ceasefire, the immediate unconditional release of all hostages, and the immediate unconditional and unhindered humanitarian access. UN resolutions continue to be ignored, international humanitarian law violated, impunity prevails, and our collective credibility is being undermined. The violence is spreading from Gaza into the occupied West Bank and beyond, including several countries in the region and recently even Qatar. Efforts to secure a ceasefire and hostage release deal led by Qatar, Egypt, and the United States suffered a serious blow on 9 September. The Israeli attack was not only a violation of Qatar's sovereignty and territorial integrity, it also threatened the very norms and mechanisms we rely on for diplomacy and conflict resolution. Excellencies, the viability of a two-state solution is steadily eroding, now reaching its most critical level in more than a generation. Relentless settlement expansion, de facto annexation, forced displacement. Cycles of deadly violence, including by extremist settlers, have entrenched an unlawful Israeli occupation and pushed us perilously close to a point of no return. Israel's recent approval of settlement construction in the EU1 area is especially alarming. If implemented, it would sever the occupied West Bank, it would sever the occupied West Bank, destroying the territorial contiguity of a Palestinian state. Israeli settlements are not just a political issue, they are a flagrant violation of international law. At the same time, the Palestinian Authority is facing an existential crisis. Fiscal, political, and institutional pressures are undermining its ability to function. Israel's withholding of clearance revenues, the suffocation of the Palestinian economy, and the sharp decline in donor aid have left the Palestinian Authority unable to pay salaries or deliver basic services. Urgent international support, financial and political, is needed to stabilize the Palestinian Authority and preserve its viability as a partner for peace. And yet, amid the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged yesterday with the resumption of the high-level international conference on a two-state solution. I commend France and Saudi Arabia for co-chairing this important meeting and for helping to reignite political momentum. I welcome the recognition of Palestinian statehood by many more countries, including permanent members of the Council, France and the United Kingdom. This is the clearest path to a two-state solution. Israel, an independent, sovereign, democratic, viable and contiguous state of Palestine, living side by side in peace and security on the pre-1967 lines, with Jerusalem as the capital of both states, based on international law and UN resolutions. We must seize this momentum. The so-called day after in Gaza must be anchored in international law, reject any form of ethnic cleansing, and have a clear political horizon towards a viable two-state solution. As I said to the General Assembly this morning, we must urgently reverse the dangerous trends on the ground. Relentless settler expansion and violence and the looming threat of annexation must stop. The calls of the International Court of Justice must be heeded, including for Israel to immediately cease settlement activities and end its unlawful presence in the occupied Palestinian territory. The illegal occupation must end. And we must support Palestinian institutions politically and financially to carry out essential reforms and ensure fiscal stability.
Excellencies, a just and lasting peace will never be built through more violence. Peace demands a collective commitment to diplomacy, to international law, to the dignity of all people. There are actions that the Security Council must take. There are responsibilities each member of this council must uphold. We cannot let this fragile moment slip away. Thank you.
I thank the Secretary-General for his briefing. I shall now make a statement.